Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. As a child, I heard and had repeated that phrase many, many times. Now that I'm older, I have the scars to show for the physical injuries that I endured. Even though more, I've been learning about the damage and suffering that I have as a result of the words that I heard and spoke, especially the words that I told myself. Have you ever sat and listened to people chat about their life or overheard conversations as others discuss the world around them? Have you ever noticed the dislike they talk about or noticed how many times you hear the word hate in everyday conversations? My name is Paul Brent, and for over 30 years, I've been upfront and engaging students and crowds, helping them find their voices to change their world. I provide law of attraction training and speak on the power of words. I'm a living on purpose coach, and I lead from where I am. I'm honored to be here today to share with you the power of words, which I know will change your life today. So thank you for joining me. The law of attraction states that I attract to my life whatever I provide my attention, focus, and energy to, whether negative or positive. So I encourage you today to pick up and hear these 3 tips that I'd love to share with you. The first tip I'd like to share is be cautious of what you allow to influence you. Imagine you have 4 boxes in front of you. Okay? In the first box are the words. You can put that into a box. You could write that down on a piece of paper if you like. Just make 4 boxes. And in the first box, write down words. See, those words from all around us, from radio, television, newspapers, magazines, our friends that we hang around with, the people that we work with, everywhere we are influenced by words, whether they're read, heard, or spoken. Now, those words, they have power, you see, because words, well, like spelling, they cast energy out. So I'd like you to imagine for a moment, when I say the word car, did you see the word car, like the letters physically, C-A-R? Or did you have a vision of a car that really, stimulates you, that really lights you up? When I hear that word, if I wasn't trained in teaching this program, I think of a red Ferrari. Like the kind that Tom Selleck drove in that television show. What the heck was that one called? Magnum PI. Right? That car, it symbolized his power. Hey, I like the shirt. It gave him this freedom, the hair blowing in the wind and everything. Now, that's like the idea of the power of the words. See, words elicit emotions or thoughts, shall we say. Now, when we look at the words, all those words that we use, whether they're positive or negative, because there are only 2 feelings, that's the only 2 you can have, positive or negative. Now, the words are going to create the thoughts that we have. As I mentioned, I heard the word car and I thought of this Ferrari. That thought, right? So that's our second box, is write thoughts in there. First box is words, because they're all around us. The second box is thoughts. Those thoughts, whether they're negative or positive now, right? They're going to create that emotion. And that's our third box, is the emotion, negative or positive. Now, another word for emotion that you could put in there if you want is vibe, right? And vibe, well, that's a short version of vibration. So if you think about it, whatever words you use create thoughts, and those thoughts create your vibe. And whatever vibe you're putting out, those create Well, that goes into our fourth box, the results. Whatever's showing up in your life, it's going to be a direct result of the words that you choose to use. So again, in that first box, you've got the words. Those words create your thoughts. Those thoughts create your vibration. And the vibration creates your results. Okay? Isn't that kind of interesting? Now, in order to move forward in your life, what I encourage you to do, step two or thought two here, tip two that I can share, is change the words. Because if you change the words that you use, you're going to change your results. I've included with my conversation here today a list of words that you can choose from, an upgrade list, as we say. So thank you for joining us. That's my gift to you. I encourage you to grab a hold of it, download it when you see the prompt come in, and go through that list and just take a look at them. How many of those words do you use? And an option to change them from being a negative connotation to a more positive outlook. That's quite simple, though it takes practice. You know, it's like saying anytime you make a choice in life, if you choose to do something, you have to face the consequences. Well, personally, to me, I find consequences to be a negative word. I've faced consequences before. And every time I heard that, it was like, oh, I'm going to have to face the consequences. So sometimes that limited me on making choices because I was afraid of the consequences. Now, I'm also a bricklayer by trade, and I love that because as a kid, I used to build things with Lego, and I would build these grand castles or pieces of equipment that I saw, and I was always so proud of myself when I managed to finish creating with all of those bricks. So I think of those like the products that I can build with. And so I have adopted now in an older life and thinking about all of these things that rather than face the consequences of a choice, what did I call those consequences? Products. Because products, whether they're good or bad, you can build with them, right? Take stone rubble. It doesn't have to be the perfect piece of stone just to help build a bridge. Some of the most beautiful structures around the world are taken from scrap stones that have been carefully hewn and put into place. And that's what I encourage you to do is think about the words that you use and create this life around you. Now, it's really interesting. Three words that I'm going to encourage you to use, or sorry, to remove from your life because we use them so often. Think about this. When you get up in the morning, say 8 a.m., between 8 a.m. and noon, how many times do you use the words don't, not, and no? You'd be amazed if you really sit back, think about it, right? Don't do this, or, don't do that. Kids playing in the kitchen while you're making breakfast, and you're like, no, no, don't do that. Don't do this. You're going to spill the milk everywhere. Right? Sit down at the table. Stop jumping around. Don't do this. Don't do that. Kind of reminds me of one of those old songs. Signs and signs, because everywhere there's signs, and those signs have words. So I encourage you to remove at least those three words for now. Get a hold of that list and read through it. Think about applying some of those upgrade words. Remove, first off, don't, not, and no. They are probably the three most limiting words that you're ever going to engage with. So start to make some change now. In order to really empower that change, think about it this way. Rather than saying, don't park here, say what you mean. Okay, changing that up here. Don't park here. There's plenty of parking over there. If you would, it's easily accessible, and we'd appreciate you parking there to keep this space free. Right? Hey, you kids, don't jump on the furniture. Why don't you change that to, if you sit down over here, I can make sure that you get this drink that you've been looking for, and then we'll have lots of it rather than spilling it. If you engage the power of your words, you can influence the world around you, right? No, I don't want that. Okay, so then my question is, what do you want? And that's how we change things around here, is by taking the words that we choose not to use. And I have to use them occasionally, but changing that word from not to yes. Okay, how about if we do this now rather than that? Providing an option. What do you want? And it's very empowering when you understand that concept, that you can change the words you use, change the verbiage, and it's simple, but it takes effort, talent, awareness, especially when you need to listen to what it is that you're saying before you put it out there. Right? I like to run the phrase, say what you mean what you say, but avoid being mean when you say it. That has a lot of power. You know, I'd rather not be here today rather than I don't want to be here. I don't want to do dishes. Though I could change that and say, you know what? I'm grateful that I get to do dishes. I know that sounds kind of crazy. When you go back into the picture of it, why do you have the dishes to do? Perhaps you just had a family meal, everybody together. Everyone was laughing and talking while they ate. It's okay to do that. And you enjoyed that meal. Now, as a sign of a great meal, the fact that you've got food on the table, that you were able to prepare it, that everybody was home, right? Empower that now, because not do you have to do dishes, you get to do dishes. That sounds totally crazy. Woo! I get to do dishes. But it's an honor to have all of the rest of that played out. And now you get this opportunity to reflect while you're doing the dishes, thinking about the conversation, the smiles that you had, what brought those smiles on, thinking about the impact that you had on the people that had joined you for that meal. And they're going to go home with those thoughts. And it just might be that, you know, the words that you used allowed them to think about their context. Right? You create the world that you desire. So speak to what you want rather than what you don't want. It's a very interesting concept, and that's the law of attraction all over the place. And if you can take the time to give appreciation for what you have, give gratitude every opportunity that you get, live in the now. That's another big thing too, right? In the power of now, we have all of creation. Not 10 minutes ago when I started this conversation, I mean, we can rewind and rewatch it, absorb the information from a different perspective. Now that you've gotten to this point, you have a different energy already about you. And I'm grateful to have you here with me and allowing me this opportunity to have a conversation with you and share this concept that transformed my life. I've been in some pretty dark places. And in order for me to move forward, I had to sit back and do an inventory of what it was that I actually had. I could complain about the injuries that I've received over my life from car accidents, choices of activities that I've played in. I could talk about heartbreak. I've had a couple of relationships that failed. I have difficulties with some of the members of my family, though I choose to still put forward the effort and the smile and my heart and give gratitude for where I'm at. And I take this power, embracing the moment right now, not 5 seconds ago, not 5 seconds into the future, right now. This is the only time that exists. And when you live in this moment and you embrace the power of your words, you can feel the difference in yourself, right? It's like listening to those people, as we mentioned at the very beginning. You're sitting in a mall and just listen, grab a coffee, sit down and listen to people talk. Maybe you're at a storefront and you can see somebody picking up the garments off the rack and go, oh my God, look at this. This is so horrible. I would never be caught dead in that. Right? Why are they even looking at it and talking about it in those words? There are other people that would look absolutely fantastic in that outfit. Perhaps it's not for me, right? Oh, this is a beautiful garment. It's not necessarily something that I would find myself wearing, but I'm sure it would look great on someone else. It's nice. It's well designed. It's got an interesting pattern. There was something that drew them to it that they really liked. So why not identify the things that you really like? Or being with your friends, talking about the fact that you enjoy their company and that you're willing to hear them. Though be cautious. Many people that we call our friends may not be our friends. They like to take advantage of us because we are people that will hear their burdens and unwind, and maybe we start to play the pity party with them. Yeah, I know how you feel. I've been there, done that. And then we start to tell our story. And law of attraction is going to meet you where you're at. So if you're sitting there thinking about negative things and you're talking about negative things, all you're doing is reinforcing them. So what are you going to get? More negative things. It is a really, really interesting conversation to have. And the best way to move on from that is to empower the moment. Grab a hold of the things that you really like and appreciate, the things that you love, build that positive vibration, and create the results for that moment. Now, I have a hunch that you want to have and own the power of the words that you use in your life. So I want to encourage you to take a few moments and join me. Come over to pauldbrent.com and check out what I have to offer. Living on purpose, law of attraction, the power of words. It can change your life. I know it's changed mine. Been there, done that. Choose not to be there anymore. And I surround myself with great, powerful people, people that influence others who only want the best for others, like I want to have the best for you. So thank you very much for joining us on this summit and having a conversation with me today. I know it's a little one-sided, but we'll make that change when you join me again at pauldbrent.com. It's a great place to learn about living on purpose, and I'll share with you in a conversation how to embrace even deeper the power of our words, apply the law of attraction, and create the life that you really want. I thank you so much for being here today with me and joining me in this conversation. Thank you to Mary for putting that on and inviting me here today. I hope that, it's been a little bit of information for you to understand who Paul Brent is and what I bring to this table. Thank you for being a part of my world. It's been a blessing, and I do hope to hear from you soon. Paul at pauldbrent.com.